One of the advantages of a multi-body part and also the top-down assemblies is that we're going to be able to line these fasteners up between each of the items and assure that they stay aligned as we go through the process. So I'm going to use a sketch-driven pattern, and the front plane bisects the part. So if I open up a sketch, then kind of have a decision. I think I'd rather tie it to the 3D sketch, the envelope drawing, than the parts. So if I hide everything, maybe. Well, let's expand that out, see what is left here. Well, it should have hidden everything, but apparently not. So let's see if we can go down the list. So maybe that's a show everything. Okay, so if I collapse that, and then we come over and we show the 3D sketch, I'll collapse that and have a little more. So with the 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, we should be able to put in, let's see, so I'm in the sketch, I'm on the front plane. Should be able to put in a set of center lines that will give me the reference. A lot of times what I like to do is pick one and go center to center, or midpoint to midpoint. And then make those center lines all equal so that if there is a shift, I'm not searching for 4 dimensions, just the one. Alright, so went the wrong way there, so let's go with the vertical, go 0.25. Alright, so my start and end would be at the intersection, and what I'm kind of thinking is that the sheet metal and the plastic will provide enough structure that I really don't have to worry about the seams between the geometry. So we will determine how much we need there. So that was the intersection. But on the off chance that it is a little flimsier than expected, I can always do a little brace that would span those, drill through the sheet metal, drill through the structural aluminum, and then have a piece with either a tapped hole or go all the way through with a washer and a nut. So for the linear sketch pattern, for the first one, we'll take and we're telling it to do the x-axis first. Let's go to 1. And 10's too many. I was going to say maybe 5. And we'll give it about a 3-inch spacing. Alright, so that's going to get us close. And right now we're not dimensioning the Y spacing, so I should be able to pull that up to the intersection, and then even though the numbers may not be 3.1, and I'm going to say that's a little cleaner than that. I might occasionally come up with some really strange numbers. Alright, and then we'll do another linear pattern going across. So this one will be in the Y direction and maybe 4. And we'll give it a total of 8. And that one's going to be a little close. Okay, so if I go ahead and accept that, then same thing, I should be able to pull that to the intersection. Let's just see what it ended up at. So 944, yeah, one of those strange numbers, but close enough. It gives us equal spacing. Alright, so if I work this through the mirror, let's see, probably don't need the very top one just yet. And we'll mirror entities. Okay, so that gave me everything but the top one, and then I'm thinking I'll just window pick and pick another center line and mirror. How do I pick that one up? So line 10, oh, line 9 and line 10. Alright, so grab the center line there, which I didn't want, and the mirror about becomes the one that I did want. Alright, so we'll go ahead and accept that. And that gives me a pattern all the way around. Alright, so give this a whole pattern 1. And then for the right side, we should be pretty much doing the same thing. Now this is centered on the part, so when I do the sketch pattern, it's not going to really matter forward or back. Kind of helps me to visualize. It wouldn't hurt anything if it was on the front, the back, shifted whichever way we needed it. Alright, so we don't necessarily need to see that one. We are going to open up the sketch, and then same thing. And I do want to be careful about picking the little offset that I did for that center beam. And let's go Control 4. And apparently missed something there. So again, as far as the 3D sketch, as long as it's able to be projected into the current sketch, those geometries are going to be valid for our relations. A little shift or missed. Okay, so that will go to vertical. Vertical. Pick, Control select those 4 items. So select the first one, hold down the control button, select the rest. Apply the offset dimension to 1. Everything updates. That looks pretty good. So we'll pick the first point. And I want to stay with the 6 items again, so we'll go with the linear sketch. It ended up being 3.1 and oh yeah, this was the X dimension. I can do that first, but just to note that as long as there's 1, it doesn't do anything in that axis. And let's see, since it can move a little bit, there we go. So it didn't quite pick up the intersection on that one. Those all look pretty good. So we'll go through the same process again. And let's see, we were 24 deep. Okay, I'll pull that over. Now the only problem with doing this is that the instance count, since that's the last one, if I decide I need more, let's check that real quick. Let's check the logic. If I decide I want to go up to 8, and double click on the instance count, and sure enough it puts 2 more on the outside, so it keeps going linear. So I would have to break the intersection and then bring that one back, or bring the last one back to be the one that drives the relation. Since that wasn't really the desired effect, we will go that route. And same thing, we'll pick those guys up. And then mirror, make sure we got them all. And then I will remember to deselect the vertical so that I can come back and grab one of the horizontals, finish the mirror. Okay, so that gives me that one. Alright, so there isn't anything on the bottom, but I can offset a plane, or we just go ahead and sketch on the top. Let's go ahead and stay with the naming. So if we go with the top and the sketch, so the one thing here will be that since the other 2 sketches intersect and they're going to have basically the same offsets, then I can utilize those sketches. If I rotate over, find Control 7 there, I should be able to go from the end point of the sketch and midpoint or coincident will get a desired result. Alright, so one of the things, if granted the changing 2.25s is not going to be that big of a deal if I need to make an adjustment, but I could always set an equation and drive that dimension between the two. So, alright, so that gives me the offset. We'll go to the top view. I think we're going to pick pretty much the same distribution as the side. So once I find those, there we go, across the middle. Lost my my bearings there. So bring that back. Let's see, it still didn't go fully defined, so we'll pull it off the edge. There we go. Linear sketch pattern. Double check my instance count. So that got pretty close. And we go ahead and accept it. And just noticed it came up with the dimensions. So let's see if it put that center line in. No. Alright, so it still didn't go fully defined. That means it can move back and forth, not up and down. And bring that one, since it's not cooperating, we'll Control Select, make it coincident. And then go to the vertical. So X goes to one direction. And so the reason that I'm doing these individually is that if I did both, I would end up with a matrix across the whole piece that a little too much. Alright, so 6, about 3 inches I think we ended up with. Rotate it over, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And spacing's bigger than that. We'll see if they line up. Okay, so, oh, went the wrong way. Okay, so I hit Control 6, so I'm looking at it from the bottom then. Alright, so those all look pretty well lined up. Let's go back to Control 5 so I can verify. Alright, so this one did not end up, because of the cut, did not end up with a center line. So in that case, when I did the accounts, I should have brought it all the way across. Alright, you used, well, depends on which way I go. Could do that and then that. Let's just go ahead and draw the center lines. But that does make me think that I might have gotten a duplicate point somewhere on the other. Alright, so if it doesn't present any problems or end up with an extra hole count, I'm not going to worry too much about it. Alright, so that was a miss. Alright, so back to the top. Alright, so if I follow the same pattern, we get those. That should not be a duplicate. That should not be a duplicate. Okay. So mirror those entities. Grab all of those points. Get rid of the center line. Oh, I went from left to right, or right to left, so I need to go back and go left to right, so it's just the containing. Pick my center line, mirror the entities. Alright. So I think we're pretty good there. Alright, so I've got all my geometry in place, and we're ready to do the first weldments. So we take these in segments. So no show there. Alright, so that showed everything, which is kind of what we wanted. But the hide show there isn't helping me. Let's go ahead and get rid of the sheet metal, because first we're going to be doing threaded, and then we'll be coming back to do the clearance holes on the sheet metal. So I'm just going to do one of each and give you the idea of the process, and then we'll go back and finish everything out. So I have on my S key the hole wizard, and that is my preferred method of getting to fasteners. Not sure which one that was, so we're going to reset the custom values, go over to, I believe I said I was going to do an 832 on this, and we're just going to do, I'm a little hesitant to do through all. So I think up to next is better, that it finds that geometry. I'd rather have two patterns, one picked from this side, one from this side, because if we end up with a shift or geometry, I want to make sure that they're going the right way, or if I end up with any interior geometry, that it doesn't blast a hole through that intermediate segment. So position, oops, I jumped somewhere. Let's go back, make sure I'm not, so hit the scroll wheel a little too early. It scrolled me over to the legacy. And no, I don't want to be in a 3D sketch. So let's just pick the plate and then place the first. Alright, so it puts it in contact. And then we go ahead and accept. Oh, I didn't name the last one, so I'll do that real quick. And actually, probably should have, instead of 1, 2, 3, called them front, right, and top, so keep better track of them. Alright, so I'll fix that a little later. The pattern then is to pick hole pattern 1, control select the first 832. We go back to the features, pick up the down arrow under the linear pattern, and we're going to call this a sketch-driven pattern. Alright, so centroid, if there's any kind of shift in the geometry, how it populates the rest of the geometry. This case, I'm going to be a little careful with the auto select. We're just going to go through and make sure the 4 items that I want included are included. And we'll go ahead and accept. Alright, so that puts the whole pattern for the for the tap tool. And then if I do these in groups, I'll come back to the sheet metal and we'll show the first sheet. Okay, we'll show a sheet. And maybe we'll try this. Like I said, I'm a little hesitant to do two at once, mainly because I run the risk now of definitely blowing through the center. So more as an example, I would rather have those individual patterns, individual sketch patterns, rather than trying to do too much all at once. So this one's going to be the clearance hole, and we're going to try to do both of those with the selected body. So this is an up to next. It's going to be a clearance, so we go back to the standard hole size. If I do a screw clearance for the number 8 and tell it up to next, do not want it to auto select, so we're going to make sure that it picks the two that I want, and then the position. And I try to be consistent on where I start so that I can kind of find my way back, sort of like leaving the breadcrumbs. Alright, so hole pattern 1 and the clearance hole, and then the sketch driven pattern. And I'm not sure if I did that on the other one. Let's see if we can rotate that around. Alright, see what we get. Alright, so it didn't quite come over. Onto the pattern. So since it was just up to next, alright, I'm going to have to kind of go through the logic. I think that may be one of the reasons I go back to just that geometry. Alright, so I'm going to finish putting hole locations in this, and then our next task will be to create the drawings with the cut list and dimensions for the hole locations. Alright, so just a real quick add-on here. The weldments don't seem to care too much about the geometry additions, subtractions, but the sheet metal will separate out into separate sheets, create new sheets as it goes. So I did a little more diagnostics, and what ended up happening is when I selected, I actually was selecting on this face, so it wouldn't take the through all because it was trying to come this way, not this way. So just a real quick note on the correction is that you will right click on that sketch. I don't have to delete the whole wizard item. We come over to, let's see if we get the tooltip again, edit sketch plane, and it shows you the plane that's selected. And because it puts it in transparency, I may have to hit the shift and select at the same time so that it's not picking through the face that I actually want. Once that was done, then I could go back into the feature and add the second base flange to the mix, which sent it all the way through. And then with the sketch pattern, then same thing, the sketch pattern had to have the clearance hole for both items. Alright, so there is a logic to it, and if something doesn't work out the way that you're expecting it, then we'll just kind of track it down. Some of them are going to be a little more critical than others, so worst case, if I had extra sketch patterns, it's not that big of a deal. Alright, so that takes care of at least those. Still have the frame on the back, but I did want to mention real quick the organizing this. So if I drag this down, I'm not going to let me do the whole pattern first. How about these guys? So if it'll let me grab this as a group, and most of the time I can't. Sometimes you can shift select and drag everything at one time. So the other hole pattern, when I roll forward, is probably going to give me an issue. But I want to group these up into folders so that I can track them a little bit better. So in this case, I do the shift select so that I grab everything that's being attached. That's going to be in that same group, and add to new folder. And so this will be the front front-facing holes. Alright, so the only other thing that I noticed was the center bar wasn't included in the mix for the top. So I edited the sketch and I just went across and added points. Because it's going to only pick what is in that sketch, I made a set of points coincident with what we did on the side, so that when I go across the top on the Weldment and across the sheet metal, it will add a row in the middle.